Have you ever felt like the least likely person for what God is asking of you? Like, there's no way you could possibly be the one he would choose. Maybe you battled thoughts of unworthiness. Like, have you ever thought, I'm not enough? I'm too broken. I don't come from the right background. I don't know enough. Maybe God has somebody else out there that he would pick. If that's you, I get it. There have been many times in my own life where God was calling me into something, but everything in me resisted receiving that calling because I couldn't see myself the way He saw me. And I still struggle to this day. Other people didn't always affirm it either, which didn't help. In fact, sometimes other people, especially people that were close to me, actively doubted, dismissed, or disqualified me. And honestly, sometimes I agreed with him. But what I realize is that being chosen has nothing to do with how we feel about ourselves, and it has everything to do with God's love, purpose, and His sovereignty. So today, we're going to look at two women whose stories prove this so beautifully: Esther and Mary, mother of Jesus. But before we get into their journeys, let me say this. If you've ever felt too unseen, too broken, too inadequate, too unqualified, if you've ever looked at your background and thought, surely God can't use me after I've done all this, after I've been through all this, just know that this episode is exactly for you. Hey, beautiful souls. I'm Kai, and welcome to Reflections with Kai. This is a space where we reflect, heal, and grow into who God says we are. So if you've been feeling stuck, unseen, or unsure of your identity, you're in the right place. Welcome to the third episode of Becoming H.E.R, his esteemed reflection called Chosen. This is where we will talk about what comes with being chosen by God, especially when you feel unworthy, overlooked, or unqualified. But you know what they say, God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. So let's look at two women in the Bible who exemplify this: Esther and Mary, the mother of Jesus. Esther went from orphan to queen, literally. Her story can be found in the book of Esther. So definitely take the time to read through all of those chapters so that you can get more context to what I'm talking about here. Esther's story begins in a place many of us can relate to, and that is with loss and disconnection. She was an orphan, so she didn't have parents at all. She was a Jewish girl in exile raised by her older cousin Mordecai. She didn't come from a powerful family. She didn't grow up with privilege or position. And yet God positioned her to become Queen of Persia, married to King Xerxes. But even that came at a cost. Esther had to conceal her Jewish identity at first and live under the constant threat that if the king discovered who she really was, she could potentially lose everything, including her life, because of the type of people that the king had in charge around him. Then, at one point during her journey, she came to a valley of decision, right? Haman was an evil official, almost like the right hand to King Xerxes. And he plotted to kill all of the Jews in the Persian kingdom. And Mordecai, Esther's cousin, the one who raised her, found out, and he told Esther plainly. We see this in Esther chapter 4, verse 14, a very popular verse. Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this, right? So who knows, maybe everything that you've been through, everything that's gotten you to this place was just for this pivotal moment. So here's what I want you to see about Esther's journey. She was chosen for something greater long before she felt ready for it. She didn't seek the throne. She didn't have ambitions to be the queen of Persia, but God orchestrated the events of her life to place her exactly where she needed to be, when she needed to be there. And I'm pretty sure, as an orphan girl with no parents, exiled in a foreign nation, Esther likely wrestled with feelings of unworthiness and fear. Her background didn't scream queen, okay? But God's hand was on her life, preparing her for this very moment. And as you read through the preparation that Esther had to go through to become queen, you see it even there. There were key people that were almost like mentors, guiding Esther through the process, making sure that she was fully prepared for this role she was about to step into. Now, when the time came for her to step into her assignment, Esther chose obedience over self-preservation, even though it could have cost her life. She declared in Esther chapter 4, verse 16, "If I perish, I perish." So sometimes being chosen means stepping forward in faith, even when everything inside of us feels inadequate or afraid. So let's have a mirror moment, a time of reflection right here. Are you hesitating because your background doesn't seem to match your calling? Are you shrinking because you can't see yourself the way God sees you? I just want you to know that you may not feel qualified, but if God has chosen you, He has already equipped you for what He's calling you to do. Step out on faith. Next, let's talk about Mary, mother of Jesus. She was the young girl who risked everything for a very radical calling. You can read about Mary in Luke chapters 1 and 2. Now, Mary's story is even more intimate. She was a young virgin girl betrothed to Joseph, a man she was not yet married to, but was promised to, right? And yet, an angel appeared to her and said, in Luke chapter 1, verse 31 through 33, you can read that there. The angel appeared to her and said, "You will conceive and give birth to a son, and you are to call him Jesus. He will reign over Jacob's descendants forever. His kingdom will never end." Now, her immediate response, she was like, how? What are you talking about? When you read in Luke chapter 1, verse 34, she says something along the lines of, "How would this be since I'm a virgin? I've never known a man. So how is this even possible?" Right? So Mary's question wasn't rebellion or unbelief. It was a moment of honest human limitation. Like, God, this does not make sense. I'm literally not qualified. I don't meet the requirements, There's no natural way that this could happen. And don't we all wrestle with this, especially when it comes down to the things of God? When God calls us into something that defies human logic, we try to explain why it can't happen. Like, God, I don't have the resources, I don't have the money, I don't have the experience, I'm not positioned for that, I don't look the part. But God operates outside of human systems and expectations. He didn't need Mary to understand how. He didn't need her to know all the details. He just needed her to surrender. And she gave her surrender. In Luke chapter 1, verse 38, it says, "I am the Lord's servant. May your word to me be fulfilled." She surrendered. Whatever you say, God, be it unto me, right? But her surrender still didn't make her path easy. Mary was at risk of high shame, disgrace, and even death. Okay? During those times, if you were betrothed to someone and you ended up getting pregnant, especially to somebody else that wasn't even that man, baby, you were getting stoned. Okay? It was a very serious consequence, right? Even Joseph, her fiance, didn't believe her at first. And he was making plans to quietly divorce her, to end their engagement, until the angel Gabriel, he had to visit him too and let him know, like, she's telling the truth. Relax, don't divorce her. Okay? Even after Jesus was born, Mary's life would still be full of moments where the weight of her calling it stretched her beyond understanding. But she held on to what God said over what people thought. So here's a mirror moment for us, just a time to reflect. Has God asked you to step into something that doesn't seem to fit you? It doesn't make sense. Is there a calling on your life that feels too big, too risky, too impossible, maybe just straight up crazy? Just know you are in good company. Mary shows us that surrender is the only qualification you need. We don't have to figure out how it would all work. We just need to have trust in the one who called us and the one who chose us. So I can't tell you how many times in my life I felt exactly like Esther and Mary. I have received words from God, prophetic words from others, confirmation in prayer, and still felt completely unqualified to walk in the identity and the assignments that God gave me. But I knew He was talking to me. I knew I heard Him clearly. It was just so hard for me to reconcile. Like, are you sure? Me? I have battled feelings of unworthiness from childhood on. I had always found myself in environments that boxed me in, that made me feel small or tried to make me feel like I wasn't good enough or like I was too much. And I've had to learn that being chosen doesn't always look like being celebrated or affirmed by others. Sometimes it means that you will face misunderstanding, rejection, accusation, or even loneliness. But over time, the more God spoke to me about who I am through scripture, through prophetic words, through my quiet time with Him, the more I began to push back against those lies. Like, I learned this simple but very powerful truth that it doesn't matter what other people say about me if God has already said who I am. What do their words measure up to the words of God, right? And this is true for you too. If God said it, that is the truth you need to stand on. And that's the truth you use to push back against the lies of others. So, here's a few tips about how to live the pillar of being chosen. Number 1, trust God's word over your feelings of inadequacy. Like Esther, God may be positioning you for something bigger than you realize, even if you don't feel ready. It's okay. Just let Him take you through the process. His grace is enough for you. You may not ever feel ready until you're doing it. Number 2, surrender your logic to His leading. Like Mary, you may not understand how He's going to do it, but you only just need to say yes. You just need to surrender and remember that He's God. He's not you. As human beings, we are very limited to how things work here on this earth. He's outside of all of that. So the how isn't really that much important. Number 3, prepare your heart for misunderstanding. Again, being chosen often comes with rejection and risk. It's not anything for you to take personally. A lot of people fear or reject what they don't understand or agree with. Just know that God's affirmation is what matters the most. And number 4, anchor your identity in being loved, not just being used. Now, this is the last one, but this is most certainly not the least. This is extremely important. Know that you are not chosen by God just for what you can do. You are chosen because you're deeply loved. And you have to understand that everything that you do must come out of this confidence that you are loved by God. You're not just a vessel for Him to use. You're not like a slave. You are a daughter. or a son, if I have any guys watching this. So, in closing, you may not feel ready, you may not feel qualified, or you may have a past that seems like it should disqualify you. But just know that God sees you as chosen. And when He chooses you, that overrides every label, every limitation, or every lie that you believed about yourself or that others have spoken against you. Like Esther, you may have been hidden for a season, but you've been positioned for such a time as this. And like Mary, you may not fully understand how God is going to do it, but your surrender is your qualification. You are chosen, loved, and you are His. And that changes everything. So before I wrap up, I want you to join me next time for episode 4, where we will explore what it means to be secure. So that means building our confidence not in ourselves, but in who God is. We're going to look at the lives of Mary of Bethany, Deborah, and the Shunammite woman. And I'll share how we can cultivate a confidence that's steady, that's quiet and unshakable, even when life feels uncertain. And if this episode encouraged you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so that you don't miss what's coming next. And if you know someone who needs this reminder that they are chosen by God, go ahead and share this with them. It may be exactly what they need to hear right now. As always, I am so honored to walk this journey with you. And remember, you are loved, you are seen, and you are chosen. Next.